Hello friends, good morning all. Welcome to Eng-lane English classroom. Today I am with the 9th grade English, Maternity, the last part. Okay, dears, I think you remember how we stopped that class. You remember that? We have shown the video of that lesson made by the students from DHS Puttur. First, let us watch it again so that we can brush up, we can have a flashback of that story. Okay, dears?
Refugees were at the refugee camp for more than a month. The camp seemed like a small village on the outskirts of Marseilles. Rich people lived under the tents and others in rude sheds. The men in the camp were ready to do any works as they wanted to look after their children. The blooming faces of small children reflects the real face of Armenian refugees. Here, a lad of 40, healthy and robust, but he is not able to go to work. He literally bore on his back the burden of a newborn baby. He doesn't have even a penny in his pocket to feed his brother or to feed himself. He has no money to buy milk for that baby. The most terrible thing was the regular unbearable crying of his brother because of hunger. Due to this deafening burden, Mikhail's compatriots chased him away. They wish the child would die. One day, unable to bear it further, Mikhail went to the other side where Anatolians lived. Mikhail heard of a nursing woman there who might take pity on his babe. At last he found the nursing mother's house. The women in the camp were so kind and pity. But when they saw Mikhail's baby brother, they got afraid and went to various cries of horror. The child had no longer anything human about it. The head had become enormous and the body was skeleton. His eyes filled with tears. He slumped down near a rock. Suddenly, a China hut came.
Okay, friends, you have watched it, and now we got a glimpse of what we have discussed so far. Now let us try to answer this. You know, it is about Mikhail's plight, sad condition, and how did his fellow countrymen treat him? You know, they treated him in a way cruelly. No one was ready to help him, and they chased him away because of the uninterrupted wail of that baby. What made Mikhail go to the camp of the Anatolians? Okay, come on, you know, his compatriots were not ready to help him, so he had no other way. So he went to Anatolians. Moreover, he heard of a nursing woman that too made him, or that too prompted him to go there. Okay, and what was his experience there? The same experience. When women saw the baby, they went to cries of horror. Why did so? He felt desperate. He felt that no one is going to, or no one was going to help him. Then he was lost, he was alienated, he was alone. So everything seemed blank in front of him. That may be the reason that that's why he saw. Do you know that? Now, what do you think? Did anyone help him? So far, no. If so, who? And if anyone would help him, who might be that? Okay. Now, you know all these things. Thank you, yes. Now, shall we move on to the next part? Do you think the child can survive? What is your opinion? Will the child die? Or would the child die? It will live longer? Do you think Mikali still has hope? Come on, yes. You may guess. Right. Please look at the picture. Right? Again? Right? Okay. Now, what do you see there? Some people are there. In the first picture, you can see a family, and it is given that it is a Chinese family, right? And in the second picture, who are there? They are people from China, right? And what's the woman in the second picture doing? Come on, she is giving milk to a baby, right? Okay. Now then, do they have any role in the story? What you feel? Why did I show you this picture? Yes. Okay, we can read the next part of the story and we can learn everything about it. Okay, dears? Don't forget to read with me, right? When he raised his head, a man stood before him, gazing down upon him. Mikali recognized the Chinaman who often came to the camp to sell paper knickknacks and charms, which no one ever bought from him anyway. Often they mocked him because of his color and his skinned eyes. Mikali saw that he was looking gently down at him and moving his lips as though to speak. Finally, the Chinaman said, "You mustn't cry, boy." Then timidly, "Come with me." Mikali's only answer was to shake his head negatively. He longed to flee. He had heard so many horrors about the cruelty of the Orientals. Yet the man remained there and did not budge. So, being in great distress, Mikali followed him. What more awful thing could happen to him? As they walked along, he stumbled weakly and almost fell with the child. The Chinaman came to him and, taking the baby in his arms, tenderly pressed it to him. They crossed several empty loads, and then the man took a little lane that led them to a sort of wooden cabin surrounded by a very small garden. He stopped before the door and clapped his hands twice. A few light steps inside and a tiny person came to open the door. Seeing the man, her face reddened and then a happy smile lit it up. She made a brief courtesy to them. As Mikali remained there hesitatingly, rooted to the threshold, the Chinaman said to him, "Come in then, do not be afraid, this is my wife." Mikali went into the room, rather large it seemed, separated in the middle by a colored paper screen. It was all so clean and neat, though very poor looking. In the corner he noticed a wicker cradle. "That is my baby," said the young woman, cocking her head graciously to one side and smiling at him. "He's very tiny and very beautiful. Come and see." Mikali went up closer and silently admired it. A chubby baby, but lately out of the darkness of maternal body, slept peacefully, covered with a gold brocade cloth like a little king. Then the husband called his wife over. He told her to sit on the straw mat without a word. He sat down on her lap, the little famished one. bowing deeply before her. The woman leaned over with astonishment and drew back the covering in which the child was wrapped. It appeared to her in all its caltonic horror. She gave a cry of immense pity, then pressed the babe to her heart, giving it to the breast. Then, with a gesture of modesty, she brought forward a flap of her robe over the milk-swollen breast, and the poor gluttonous infant settling there. Okay, dears, I think you might have read with me. You have got all the answers, haven't you? Right? Shall we recap it? Was the Chinaman a stranger? Who are there in that in those pictures? There were Chinaman, or that was the first picture was the Chinaman's family, and the other one was Chinaman's wife, you know. And was the Chinaman stranger to him? No. He used to go there with the knickknacks and charms, right? And why? We have already mentioned. At first, Mikali was not ready to go with him. Why? Okay, come on. Right. He heard many horror stories about Orientals, right? Orientals and Occidentals. You know that people belonging to Eastern countries and Western countries. Why did he decide to follow him? Because he knew that there was nothing more awful to happen for him. That's why he followed him. Who was the tiny person? Okay, that was his wife. Can we say that she is a symbol of maternity? Okay, you can have your answer and we can confirm it after reading it again. Okay, now let's know more about the story. What are these paragraphs about? I mean that, you know, our story is set in 3 places. Where does this part or where is this part set, right? And what was Mikali's experience in Chinaman's house? How was it different from that in the camp of Anatolians? Okay, now dears, we can read the story again silently and note the important words too. Okay, hurry please. Okay. Yes, I think you have read it. That's a very interesting story, and we can see the message of this story in this part. Okay, shall we try to answer some very simple questions? Come on. When Mikali raised his head, what did he see? He saw a man stood before him. What was that man doing? He was gazing down upon him. Could Mikali recognize him? Yeah, he was the Chinaman who often would come to the camp to sell paper knickknacks and charms Did anyone buy anything from him? No. What they do with him? They mocked him because of his color and his squinted eyes. Okay. What did that man say? Chinaman say he tried to console him, saying that you mustn't cry, boy. And again he invited him. He requested him to come with him or to go with him. Okay. Then was Mikali ready to go with him? No. Why? Because he had heard many horrible stories about the cruelty of Occidentals. Right? Occidentals, people belonging to Eastern countries. We'll see it later. Okay. Then, when Mikali refused to go with him, did Chinaman leave? No. He waited there. Then, finally, what Mikali decided? Mikali decided to go with him because he knew that more awful things were not there. Things or more awful thing was not there to happen to him, right? And how did the Chinaman was very kind man? How do you know that? When Mikali stumbled weakly, he came to him and took the baby and pressed it kindly to him, right? And where did Chinaman take him? He took him to a small wooden cabin surrounded by a very small garden. That was his house. Who else was there? There was his wife and a baby. How was his wife? She was very modest, courteous, and did Mikali enter the house at once? No. He stood there hesitatingly, remained there hesitatingly, but Chinaman affectionately and warmly welcomed him to his house. Then what did he see there? A chubby baby sleeping grandly in a wicker cradle. Okay. Now, how was that baby? It was chubby, it was shiny, and it was very beautiful. And what her husband, the Chinaman, do? He put the child or set the child down on his wife's lap. And did the woman cry? Yes. What was the difference between the cries of the woman or women in the Anatolian camp and this woman? That was the cries of horror, but this is the cry of immense pity. And then she gave milk, gave the breast to that baby, and that gluttonous infant, Mikali's brother, suckled there. Okay, yes. Now a very good story conveying a great message. Got it? Yes. Now let us try to answer the scaffolding questions. Come on, dear. In what way the Chinaman different from the refugees? Okay, you can write it very simply, yes. Unlike other refugees, Chinaman was kind and ready to help Mikali. Describe how Chinaman's wife behaved when she saw Mikali with her husband. Her face reddened, you have seen that, and she made some gestures of courtesy, right? What did the Chinaman's wife do when she saw a famished infant? She, went to a cry, but it was a cry of immense pity, and pressed it to her heart and gave it the breast. Okay, the answers are there. You can write it yourself, and you can come back with the answers in the notes. Okay, now, dears, let us discuss the story in detail. Okay, When he lies, before that, let us see the words. Gaze means look at with fixed eyes. Fixed eyes. That means uttu nokkuka. Recognize, detect with the senses or identify, തിരിച്ചറിയുക. Knick-knack, small unimportant ornaments or piece of jewelry articles. ഓക്കെ, കുട്ടികളെ കളിപ്പിക്കുന്ന ചെറിയ ആഭരണങ്ങളോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അങ്ങനത്തെ കാര്യങ്ങളോ ഒക്കെയാണ് ചില സാധനങ്ങൾ, കളിപ്പാട്ടങ്ങൾ പോലെ സാധനങ്ങളൊക്കെയാണ് നിക്ക്-നാക്ക്. ചാംസും അത് തന്നെയാണ്, ഓർണമെന്റ്സ്, ട്രിങ്കറ്റ്സ് ആണ് ഇവിടെ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. കുട്ടികൾക്കുള്ള ചെറിയ ചെറിയ കളിപ്പാട്ടങ്ങൾ പോലെ ചെറിയ ആഭരണങ്ങളെ പോലുള്ള, അതായത് കണ്ടാൽ ഉഷാറായി തോന്നും പക്ഷെ ഒന്നും ഉണ്ടാവില്ല, ആ ടൈപ്പ്. റൈറ്റ്, നമ്മളെ കവറിങ് പോലത്തെ കാര്യങ്ങളാണ്. മോക്ക് മീൻസ് ട്രീറ്റ് വിത്ത് കണ്ടംപ്റ്റ്, കളിയാക്കുക. ടിമിഡ് മീൻസ് ഷൈ ആൻഡ് ടിമിഡ്, ലജ്ജയോട് കൂടി ചെറിയൊരു ഭയത്തോടു കൂടിയൊക്കെ നമ്മളെന്താ പറയുക, ടിമിഡ്ലി. ലോങ് ഫോർ മീൻസ് ടു വിഷ്, ആഗ്രഹിക്കുക. ഓറിയന്റൽസ് മീൻസ് പീപ്പിൾ ഓഫ് ഈസ്റ്റേൺ കൺട്രീസ്, കിഴക്കൻ രാജ്യങ്ങൾ ആളുകളാണ് ഓറിയന്റൽസ്. ഈസ്റ്റേൺ കൺട്രീസ് ആകുമ്പോൾ ഓക്സിഡന്റൽസ് എന്നാ പറയാം. ഓക്കെ, റൈറ്റ്. നൗ ഷാൽ വി ഡിസ്കസ് ഇറ്റ്. When he raised his head, a man stood before him, gazing down upon him. When he lifted his head, he saw a man. He was standing before him, looking fixedly at him. Mikali identified that man. He was the Chinaman. I think you can follow me. And he would often come there to the camp to sell paper knickknacks. The knickknacks or some such attractive and beautiful things, but very cheap, which were made of paper. And charms, we have seen that trinkets or some kind of cheap ornaments, but which no one ever brought from him away. But no one brought from him anyway. No one in the camp brought it. No one was ready to buy them from him. Moreover, they often mocked him, laughed at him, insulted him because of his color. China's people, they have different colors, you know that. And his skinned eyes. Skinned eye means, I'll show you what is that. Skinned eye, Malayalam, we may say, Kongandu polathe kannukalanu, skinned eye. That means people, people enna avare Krishnamani. That may not be in the proportionate place. When we look at someone, if the people is in the middle of or at the center of one eye, that will be the same position the other eye too. But they may not be the people like this, may not be like that. We can see that. Okay. And Mikali saw that he was looking gently down at him and moving his lip as though to speak. When Mikali looked at him, he tried to say something. Chinaman tried to say something to Mikali, and finally he said or consoled him, saying that you mustn't cry, boy. Then timidly, വളരെ ശങ്കയോടുകൂടി ലജ്ജയോടുകൂടി ഇവനെന്താ പറയാനുള്ള അറിയാതുകൊണ്ട് timidly എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു, come with me, കൂടെ വരുമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. Mikali only answer was to shake his head negatively. Shake his head means say no. Nod his head means, one head means say yes, right? Negatively. He refused that invitation. പോകുന്നില്ല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു, നിരസിച്ചു. He longed to flee. He wished to flee. Wished to flee. That means ഓടിപ്പോയാലെന്നാണ്. Flee we have studied, fled, right? He had so many horrors about the cruelty of the Orientals. There are many stories, you know, some laws on the cruelty of Orientals. It is there, just like in our countries, in our places, we can hear many such laws about Anachis. Okay, they will kidnap and they will pluck our eyes, they will kill us, and they will spill our blood on some bridges, just like that. Some stories which are not at all true, right? He heard such a story, so he was not ready. Okay, now let us see. This is skinned eye. This is skinned eye. You see, skinned eye, right? Okay. Now next paragraph. See, let us see the words first. Budge means move. Budge, no, budge. Distress means psychological suffering or discomfort. മാനസികമായ വല്ലാത്തൊരു അസ്വസ്ഥതയാണ്. Distress, awful, ഭയാനകമായ, dreadful, stumble, that means to lose one's balance, ഇടറി വീഴുക. Tenderly, in a tender manner, kindly. Lot means here plot of land, ഭൂപ്രദേശമാണ്. Lane means a narrow way or road. Wooden cabin, a small roughly made house of logs. Reddened, made red from emotion or exertion. ലജ്ജ കൊണ്ടോ ആനന്ദം കൊണ്ടോ സന്തോഷം കൊണ്ടോ ഒക്കെ മുഖം ചുമക്കുന്നതിനാണ് ഇവിടെ റെഡൻ കൊണ്ട് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്. Courtesy means ഉപചാരം, മര്യാദ, you know that. And then hesitating, ശങ്കയോടുകൂടി. Rooted, absolutely still, in a way that we cannot move. Threshold means sill of the door, Umarapadi, we can see that. Wicker cradle means cradle made of cane, we can see the same too. Okay, now we can discuss after that, we can come to that again. Yet the man remained there and did not budge. That man stayed there, he didn't go, he didn't move. So being a great distress, Mikali followed him. So because he was very sad, distress, discomfort, Mikali followed him because he had no any other way, right? What more awful thing could happen to him? He thought, nothing is there. He is suffering, he is going through the most awful things. Okay, as they walked along, he stumbled, he lost his balance weakly and almost fell with the child. Chinaman came to him and taking the baby in his arms, Chinaman took the baby in his arms, tenderly pressed it, kindly, affectionately, lovingly pressed it to him. That was the first experience that Mikali had seen. Okay. They crossed over empty lots, some vast arid lots. തുറന്ന ഭൂപ്രദേശങ്ങൾ, ചെറിയ കണ്ടങ്ങളാണ്. ഫീൽഡിനേക്കാളും ചെറുതായ ചെറിയ കഷ്ടങ്ങളായി മുറിച്ച ഭൂപ്രദേശത്തിനാണ് ലോട്ട് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Empty means there is no any plantation or some plants or something like that. And then the man took a little lane, ചെറിയ വഴിയിലേക്ക് തിരിഞ്ഞു. That led to a sort of wooden cabin surrounded by a very small garden. At the end of that lane or the other side of that lane, they could see a small house made of wood, and it was surrounded by a small garden. He stopped before the door and clapped his hands twice. He clapped his hands 2 times. That is the symbol to his signal to his wife. Then he could hear a few light steps inside, and that was come on, what may be that sound? That was the sound of his wife. A tiny person came to open the door. A little person, that is his wife, came there. Seeing the men, her face reddened. Seeing husband and Mikali, her face reddened. And then a happy smile lit up. Then there was a happy smile, and that it lit up. That means she welcomed them warmly, right? Lit, you know that, right? Prakash Pichu, right? And she made a brief courtesy, upajaram, right? As Mikali remained there hesitatingly in hesitation, rooted, unable to move to the threshold, you know. The Chinaman said to him, "Come in, then do not be afraid, this is my wife." That tiny person was his wife. Mikali went into the room, rather large it seemed. Even though it is small, it seemed large, just like that woman's heart, right? She was a tiny person, she was a tiny little woman, but her heart was vast and wide. That was the heart of a mother, that was the heart of the maternity, right? And separated in middle by colored paper screen. There was a colored paper screen in the middle. It was also clean and neat. That all this shows the character or the traits of that woman, right? Though very poor looking, In the corner, he noticed a wicker cradle. He could see a wicker cradle there. Okay, wicker cradle means totally, wicker means cane, right? Okay, now dears, we can see this is a chubby child. You please compare this one with the brother of Mikhail. This is also a chubby child, chubby baby, with holes everywhere and very funny and everyone likes such a children. Okay, right? Now this is the wicker cradle, totally right. Cradle made of wicker. This is the threshold. This part is threshold, right? This is the window, doorway, sill. This is threshold. Sometimes there will be some stone or some, what can we say, some area which is leveled, that you can do some steps that can be called threshold. Really, this part is threshold, right? Okay. Now let us move on to the next part. See the words. Cocking her head means raising her head to one side. Graciously, in gracious and graceful manner, or graceful manner. Andasodu gudi, pasarthodu gudi, dayodu gudi. It has got many such meaning. Admire, look at with admiration. Chubby, we have seen chubby child, right? Or chubby baby. Sufficiently fat so as to have pleasing fullness of figure. Lately, in the recent past. Right? Recently. Brocade means the created crown. Famished, extremely hungry. Bow, valayiga, bend one's knee or body. Astonishment, amazement or great surprise. Skeletonic, like a skeleton. Immense, unusually great in size and degree. Gesture, emotion. Aanyangalanu. Modesty, adakam, odukam, or padivrityam, the thing that makes anyone more better. That quality, usually it is attributed to women, right? Okay, flap means a piece of material that hangs down. Gluttonous, very greedy. Suckling means suck milk from mother's breast. Okay, now shall we discuss it? That's my baby, said the young woman, cocking her head graciously to the one side and smiling at him. He moving his head graciously with in a very attractive manner. In a charming manner, she said, "That is my baby." Smiling at him. He's very tiny and very beautiful. Come and see. That means that mother is proud of that baby. It should be there. Every mother, every father should be proud of their children. We may not blame them, and vice versa too. All the children should be proud of their parents too. Mikhail went closer and silently admired it. Looked at it with great admiration. He appreciated it, or he enjoyed its appearance, right? A chubby baby, chubby. But lately, out of the darkness of the maternal body, he had come recently from the womb of his mother. That means he's too young, right? Slept peacefully, covered with a gold brocade cloth like a little king. He was sleeping like a king, right? The husband called his wife over. Chinaman called his wife and he told her to sit on straw mat, without a word, he sat down on her lap, the little famished one, extremely hungry. We have learned it, right? Bending deeply before her. Thomas leaned over with astonishment. She leaned over, right? And bent over with astonishment. And drew back the covering in which the child was wrapped. The child was covered. He pulled away the cover, and it appeared to her in its skeletonic. It was like a skeleton. Right? Skeleton, she gave a cry, but now this is a cry of immense pity. That is why she is embodiment of motherhood. That is the message of the story, dears. She is the embodiment of motherhood. She is the symbol of maternity. Then press the baby into her heart, expressing her love, giving the breast. She started feeding it with the milk in her breast, and then with a gesture of modesty, usually some what can we say, gentle ladies are like that. They hide or their private parts from others. It is a must, right? Right? She brought forward a flap of her robe. She put it over the milk swollen breast. She put it over her breast, you know that. And the poor gluttonous greedy infant, that is Michael's brother, suckling, you know, we have learned that sucking milk from the breast, and she was happy. A very nice story, dears. I think you have enjoyed it. It was so nice, right? Okay, dears, this is the famished child, you know. Now let us see the main ideas. Finally, a Chinaman takes pity on him and takes him to his house, where his wife feeds baby lovingly. Thus breastfeeds the baby lovingly, thus the baby is safe. That's all in this part. Now, dears, you can see this activity. What's the impression about the Chinaman and his wife? How are they different from other characters in the show? Write a paragraph. See, when we write a paragraph, there should be all these things. Topic, sentence. What is the paragraph about? Here, what is the paragraph about? You can see that Chinaman and his wife, or Chinaman's family, was embodiment of all human values. Right? They were entirely different from other characters in the story. That is the topic that we are going to write. And the most relevant ideas, personal impressions. You know, many things are there. Many things you can include. No one was ready to help Michael, but Chinaman was ready to help him, and Michael approached many, but Michael didn't approach Chinaman. Still, he was ready. At first, he was hesitant too. Still, he was ready to help him, and you can have your own personal impressions and supporting ideas. You can write the things that support your arguments. Then evidences from the text or explanation, many can be written. To see the evidences to the kindness of Chinaman is when Mikali started to stumble. He came to him and took the child, and you know, Chinese woman or China woman, many are there. You can write it and you have to conclude it, right? You can say that she was the incarnation or the embodiment or symbol of maternity. Not only maternity, but all the human values. You can write it yourself, right? Okay. Now the next activity is, which character in the story was the most empathetic to the baby? What do you feel? No doubt China woman or China man's wife, right? And justify it. You have to write another paragraph. The sample are there. You can compare them. Compare yours with them. Okay, now we can watch that video again, because we are going to conclude this, and I express my thanks to the students of that school. You can watch it, and along with that I included this type of videos here because you can try to make such things on your own. Shall we watch it? Okay, this is the last part. The whole story is there. Okay.
Armenian refugees were at the refugee camp for more than a month. The camp seemed like a small village on the outskirts of Marseilles. Rich people lived under the tents and others in rude sheds. The men in the camp were ready to do any works as they wanted to look after their children. The gloomy faces of small children reflect the real face of Armenian refugees. Here, a lad of 40, healthy and robust, but he is not able to go to work. He literally bore on his back the burden of a newborn baby. He doesn't have even a penny in his pocket to feed his brother or to feed himself. He has no money to buy milk for that baby. The most terrible thing was the regular unbearable crying of his brother because of hunger. Due to this deafening burden, Mikhail's compatriots chased him away. They wished the child would die. One day, unable to bear it further, Mikhail went to the other side where Anatolians lived. Mikhail heard of a nursing woman there who might take pity on his babe. At last he found the nursing mother's house. The women in the camp were so kind and pity, but when they saw Mikhail's baby brother, they got afraid and went to various cries of horror. The child had no longer anything human about it. The head had become enormous and the body was skeletal. His eyes filled with tears. He slumped down near a rock. Suddenly, a Chinaman came there. He invited Mikhail, but at first Mikhail was not ready to go with him. But after, Mikhail had to go with him. Chinaman's wife offered them a happy smile and made a brief courtesy to them. She embraced the babe and pressed her heart with a gesture of maternal love and care. This true story shows the love and care of a brother, and it proves that humanity is genuine. This is Ayappan signing out for News and Input.
Okay, dears, I think you have learned what you have discussed. It's a very nice story. You try to inculcate, or you can try to keep all the values in your heart and express it and spread it towards our brothers and sisters and fellow creatures. Thank you all for watching. Meet you again. Till then, goodbye.